Very happy to come and share my journey with all of you today and share a little bit of an insight into the England women's team as well. One of my achievements that I'm most proud of is pulling on that England shirt 131 times. Never thought from starting at the age of 7 that would only ever be a dream, and yeah, it's such an honour to kind of have that to my name, and hopefully I can get a few more because I'm not finished just yet. I've been to 3 World Cups, so 2007 went to China, 2011 Germany, and 2015 Canada, where we got a bronze medal. 3 European Championships, 1 Olympics. I've got 1 league title. In 18 domestic seasons, I've got 1 league title, so I think that shows that you have to go through a lot of failures to get that success, and that is certainly 1 medal that I really cherish now. 2 FA Cup medals, a lot of silvers, again, success versus failure. So I started playing football age 7, and a lot of people say to me, what was your decision, why did you decide to play? And I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but from being 2, 3, I just always had a ball at my feet, and I do feel like I was born to play football. It was difficult back then, you can do the maths, but 24 years ago, it was hard being the only girl playing football in my school team, in my club team, and I did get bullied for it at the time, but I always just wanted to play football. When I was 9 years old, I remember my parents didn't really drive, and you had to rely on lifts to go to football. And I remember I'd leave the pitch in tears week after week, because it wasn't necessarily the boys that I was playing with, it was more the parents. You know, as parents, you don't want to see your kids getting beat, and when it's a boy getting beat by a girl, it didn't go down very well. So a lot of the parents, I was only 9, if you imagine a 9-year-old girl, I'm sure a lot of you have kids in here, and I would get comments like break our legs and stuff like that, and I would literally leave the pitch in tears. But one thing I always did was I'd go home, get my boots, and I'd go to training on the Tuesday or the Wednesday or the Thursday. And then I carried on to play for Everton for 7 years, which I'm very proud of. Had a great career there in Man City, where I'm into my 5th year now. This probably makes it sound like I'm 45, 50, which is nothing wrong with that, but I'm not. So insight into the England women's team. I feel very lucky that I've been part of this team now for 12 years. And when I first made my debut in 2006, I remember I kind of felt like I'd won a bit of a competition. I was suddenly in this World Cup qualifying game. I'd made the squad, and we were playing against France, and it was really, the odds were against us that we were going to qualify for this World Cup. We hadn't beaten France in 44 years, and we needed a draw, which would have still been a fantastic result. And I remember we got this draw, and there was this massive party after, and I was like, wow, is this what playing for England's like? It felt amazing. But I think why I wanted to touch on that was the standard back then, that qualifying for a World Cup or European Championships was a massive achievement, whereas now that's the minimum standard. From 2007 World Cup, we've qualified for every single World Cup, European Championships and Olympics as Team GB. Why has this happened over the last 12 years? Well, 2009 there was the introduction of central contracts, which meant that before then players were working full-time, trying to do the training, had to put in leave to try and get to play for England, to go away for a week, and so on and so on. So club teams became more professional. Now we've got our top tier, which is FAWSL 1. All the teams are professional now, which is amazing to think. Back then, even the England women's team, people were working full-time and playing football. It really is a case of when you're in a World Cup and you know you're in the quarter-finals, we know if we can win and get another game on TV, like a semi-final or a final, how many more girls are going to be watching that, and then they're going to be inspired to play. So it really is a case of you're not just going out there to make the next round for you, we're doing it for the whole of girls football. And the amount of messages I got in the World Cup saying my daughter's now asking for a pair of football boots as well as my son, and they're coming along to games, and that really does inspire us as players. 12 years of being in the England women's team. On the left-hand side is an example of my day 12 years ago, and I know sometimes when people are asked to do this, they exaggerate, but I promise you I'm not. So I used to get up at 7, go and do a weight session. 9 till 3, I would coach a college team up in Sunderland. I'd then finish coaching at 3, I'd travel 176 miles, I remember it from my expense sheet. 176 miles to Liverpool, We'd train 8 till 10 because the boys' academies, the men's team, they all took priority over us at the time, which was fair enough, I suppose. That was just what it was like. And then I'd drive back to Sunderland to get in at 1 o'clock in the morning. So effects this had, I was basically living at service stations. I wasn't eating properly, wasn't sleeping properly. So compare that to a day now. You'll probably think I'm lazy now, but wake up, have my breakfast 8:30, which is at football. They supply our food. 10 till 12 training, 1 p.m. lunch, 2 till 3 weights, and I'm home by 4. Okay, and then we'll have we have 1 day off a week in between that as well. And we still get the young players complaining about a day like that, getting up for breakfast. So I try and remind them of a day like this. The difference now, eating right, sleeping, no travelling, specific training, and obviously getting nutritional help as well. Definitely through my experiences, the more successful the teams I've worked in, the team spirit and the team cohesion has been so important. Togetherness, ownership and winning mentality. And it was difficult. I remember we all had to share our journeys, our life stories, and you could go as deep as you wanted, and these were teammates that I'd had for 5-6 years. And until we shared these journeys, I didn't even know these things about them. So I learnt about family members they'd lost, hard times they'd come through, and it was really, there was tears, there was emotion. And I remember we were in the World Cup, a lot of the girls had kids as well when we were in the World Cup, and I know one of them, she'd left our twins were a year old and she'd had to leave them for the 6-7 weeks, so it was difficult being a parent and going away for that time. And I remember we were playing in this bronze medal match for England, and I was playing wing back, which for those that know football, it's quite a difficult position in terms of running. And I had to get up the pitch, I had to go back, and when the ball was getting in the box, the manager's going, Jill, get in, Jill, get back. And I felt like saying, you bloody do it, but I didn't. And I was on the floor, absolutely knackered, and I looked up at the time and there was 34 minutes gone. And I was thinking, how am I going to get through this? And I remember looking at these girls and just thinking the sacrifices they'd gone through, the hard times, leaving the kids at home. The kids were with people at home, they hadn't left them for 6 weeks. Leaving the kids at home, I just looked at them, and when we played that game, 120 minutes that game went on for. And I really do feel like sometimes getting to know people off the pitch or away from work, and you do really start to respect their journeys. This was now our culture, our standards, and we all knew it was just for the greater good. We knew that if we lived by these standards every single day, we'd create this culture that would then help us on the pitch. And it certainly did. So we've got there, 2015, we went from 11th in the world to 4th. I think we are at 3rd at the minute, I think. And then history makers here, so we'd never got past the first knockout stage till 2015 when we got that bronze medal. So I've just got a picture because that is how much it meant to us. Boldness, when I look back through this presentation, I think when I was 7, I showed I was bold. Obviously, it would have been easy for me to go, no, girls can't play football and it should be a boys' game. And when the parents were shouting at us when I was age 9, break our legs, it would have been easy for me to not be brave and just say, look, it's not for me, I'm in tears, I'm upset. And then when I look at boldness now, the boldness is challenging people. This is our culture, this is our standards. There's no point, even though this is the best job in the world, I still have to have time away from my family and not see them as much as I know people have to sacrifice with their work. So why bother giving absolutely everything when you know someone beside you isn't doing the same thing? So you have to challenge, and that's being bold now. As you get older, you think you become more bold, but maybe that 7-year-old girl had a lot of boldness in her already as she just followed her dreams.